This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carranante.
Welcome to the Yankees Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carranante. The New York Yankees move closer to clinching a playoff spot, and honestly, closer to clinching one of the more appealing ones. We're going to do a 49-minute dissertation on their magic number in a little bit. It's impossible to figure out, but taking 3 out of 4 from the Orioles definitely helps. And 2 of them were emphatic, and 1 of them was exciting. I guess it was also emphatic based on the final score. But if you watch yesterday, you know, tight game, playoff atmosphere from an Orioles team that did not want you to win baseball games. We told you 7 with the Orioles out of the final 10. That's not a gimme. That's not simple. They worked hard for these 3 wins in a 4-game set. They did not walk over and we laughed a couple weeks ago about the Red Sox 4-game sweeping Baltimore in Baltimore, saying Baltimore handed them all 4 games. Baltimore did hand them all 4 games, but they were also tight late. The Orioles aren't a last place team because they lack talent. They lack execution, and what you can't do is match them at their level. And the Yankees have done that way too often the last couple of years. The Yankees did that in Minnesota. Made every game more difficult than it had to be. In this series, the Yankees lost to the hottest lefty pitcher in baseball. For some reason, that is true of Trevor Rogers. The Yankees beat up on the starters they faced Thursday and Saturday. The Yankees got an all-timer from Max Fried, and the Yankees ran away a bit in the late game on Saturday and then played another tight one that you figured, okay, this one is a loss, feels like a loss. You're mathing out what happens if the Twins lose to the Guardians. Where will the Yankees be? What do they have to do to clinch their spot? Are they trending towards falling towards the bottom of the bracket again? And then all of a sudden, if the Guardians had won yesterday and the Yankees had lost a game that was 1-1 in road extras, it would have been a 2-game lead over the Guardians with 6 to play. And we would have been really scoreboard watching the Tigers, the Guards, Rangers, the Red Sox, Tigers. Now we still have to scoreboard watch it, but the message is a little simpler. Because now the Yankees have some margin over the Red Sox. The Yankees have some margin over a playoff spot. The Yankees need to win a couple of games this week. But technically, 1 win will get them a postseason spot. It just will take a little while for that to unfold because some teams have to cannibalize each other first. Regardless of the mechanics, Thomas Carranante, what a weekend. We both said we were okay with a split. And then when it came down to it, kind of got to get that 3rd win. Sunday arrives and you're like, I know I said split, but kind of got to get the 3rd win. I mean, you're hoping that Joe Ryan can beat the Guardians. You're hoping that something else, like, the Red Sox are down Friday. The Red Sox give up the lead late Saturday. If the Red Sox lose one of those, it's a different situation, but they don't. The Guardians don't. You end up really kind of needing to win that Sunday game, and Ben Rice wins that Sunday game.
Thank you, Ben Rice. One of the, most underappreciated Yankees this season. I feel like we talk about him a lot. I'm just not sure there is the same national discussion. I could be wrong.
I think
I'm usually wrong.
The RBI total is low because he caught me yesterday where he had 5 ribbies yesterday, and I was like, that's got to be like 80 on the year.
Yeah, he's 61 or
62. Yeah.
So I heard the stats. It was like they were complimenting him when he crossed home plate after the grand slam, and they were like 24 home runs, 62 RBI. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Impossible.
Yeah. But dude, 252 average, 822 OPS, 127 OPS plus. Like, this is a full-time player. He's going to end up appearing in probably 140 games this year when all is said and done. Could eclipse 2 B-WAR. We talk about a lot of players this year in terms of like, where would the Yankees be without X? So a lot of what we referred to earlier was, where would the Yankees be without Giancarlo Stanton going on that hot streak while the Yankees were kind of dead? Where would the Yankees be, honestly, without Trent Grisham? Where would they be without Cody Bellinger's contribution since the middle of May? Where would they be without Jose Caballero coming over after the trade deadline? So I think the good part of that is it's becoming more and more of a team effort by the day. And that's going to help this group out in the playoffs, because for the last few years, I mean, really last year, it was a good team effort. They just weren't fundamentally sound, and they didn't get help from their best player in the World Series. So usually when that happens, it's hard to overcome. But 2020, 2018 to 2023 was just like, come on, dude, like, this is not a team effort. Not enough people are stepping up. Everybody's going silent at the same time. And this roster is everybody's picking each other up. Like, I applaud starting rotation this weekend, man. Like, even Will Warren, you didn't get the win. You had a couple of tough innings there and ended up surrendering 3 runs. I know only 1 was earned, but still went 5 1/3, gave length. Everybody else goes 7, I think.
And it
right?
should be an earned run if the error is on you. That
is true.
A rule we can't figure out, like baseball. I want to talk to the 1880s guys, because like I don't know how a pitcher's run became unearned when the pitcher drops a grounder like Will Warren did. That said, again,
Schlittler went 5 1/3. Sorry, it felt like he went much deeper because he was really effective.
He was really good, and he gave up a monster home run to Semyon Basayo, and there's really no harm in doing that. And that, again, the Yankees go down 1-0 in the 5th, and you go, okay, well, if they lose this game 1-0 or X-0, then I'm not blaming Cam Schlittler. And Schlittler, Rodón, and Fried were all excellent, and Fried and Rodón especially were low-stress excellence.
Yeah.
Which led to Max Fried in the opener. Everybody asked about, how are you feeling? Because again, they can deny all they want to that the blisters were holding him back physically for longer than they announced, but they pretty clearly were, because there's a line of demarcation when he went back to largely being excellent.
Yep.
And that game was the best he's looked in months, since May. And
that was his career high in strikeouts in a single outing.
Yeah, 13, and it looked like it too. It felt that way. And the cutter was, dancing, and the fastball was 97, 98. And Sunday was the most exciting win, but on Thursday, he said he's, quote, feeling really good physically, feeling like I did toward the beginning of the year. So if you're looking for reasons this team that we've all maligned all summer as they gave us depression soup could go on a playoff run, Max Fried feeling like he did in April and May when he had like an 0.8 ERA or whatnot, and he was looking like a Cy Young favorite. It's a pretty good reason why. And he's not going to win the Cy Young. Skubal has earned it. Garrett Crochet has earned it. The best Max Fried's going to finish is 3. But I would argue he should finish 3rd. He's going to come close to 200 innings. He's 18-5 with a 2.92 ERA. Should he not be 3rd in the Cy Young? It feels that way to me.
It is crazy to think, like, he is right when he says he feels like he did in the beginning of the year. So April and March, 6 starts, 1.19 ERA. May, 6 starts, 2.65 ERA. June, 5 starts, 1.91 ERA. July, 5 starts, 5.54 ERA. August, 5 starts, 5.14 ERA. Last 4 starts in September, 2.05 ERA, perfect 4-0 record. That's the last time he had a perfect record was April, 5-0. April, March, 5-0. So, yeah, I mean, it is funny to think, like, if he didn't have that disastrous 10-11 start stretch, we'd be maybe having a different conversation about the Cy Young potentially. It would have been an uphill battle because the seasons that Skubal and Crochet are having are absolutely incredible. But Max Fried's been around for longer than both of them, has a longer track record of success than both of those guys. So you never know how kind of that weighs in the voting, depending upon, again, you maybe take away 3 of those starts and the ERA gets closer to 2.5. Now we're talking, but it is what it is. And yeah, I would agree that he probably should be number 3. I'm not going to split hairs over the Cy Young voting at this point, because it doesn't matter. All I care about is Max Fried hitting his stride for the postseason. And if he's feeling like himself from the first 3 months of the year, then that is really good reason for Yankees fans to be excited about whatever series it is. Right? Look, right now the Yankees are 2 games behind the Blue Jays in the division. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? I don't know. What do you think?
They have the tiebreaker, Toronto. So it's basically a
2.5 games.
Yeah, it's basically a 3-gamer with 6 to play. If the Yankees erase those 2 and tie, they don't win the division. Yeah. So that's their own fault. They lost a buckload of games to Toronto in a row earlier this year. If you want to have the tiebreaker, you got to beat the team you're tied with. So you can't blame anyone but yourself. But Again, I don't think it's going to happen. They have certainly had the door open for them a few times over the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
The Trevor Rogers, you can't anticipate Will Warren beating Trevor Rogers necessarily, and the Yankees did not do much of anything in that game until Jazz hit his 30th of the year and went 30-30. But that night was, again, Toronto saying, we basically have the division locked up, but if you want to come get it, we're going to lose today.
Is that
Like,
the 20-1 loss?
That was Thursday, right? And
Yeah.
then they lost 2-1 on Friday.
Yeah, okay.
But that was definitely the game where if the Yankees had beaten Trevor Rogers as the Blue Jays lost in Kansas City, and it was 1, then you could really start to go, okay, this is not far-fetched. Like, somebody's going to lose between the Jays and the Red Sox Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yep.
They play each other. Somebody's taking an L.
Yeah.
It could be the same team 3 times.
Mhm.
It might not be. But if the Red Sox, and we're going to do, this is the Yanks Go Playoff Bracket podcast, because we're going to do like a half hour on the various collapses and the crazy clinch scenarios at the end, just because this is like this. It might be one of the greatest weeks in recent baseball history. We have 6 games left, and they're all interesting. And the Yankees have locked up nothing. They got much closer yesterday, but the seeding is up for grabs. They still need to win these games. They still need to come to play. They are not sitting and watching, but the rest of the baseball world is way crazier, thanks to Ben Rice and the bullpen, and even Camilo Doval yesterday.
What a finale!
But I'd like to break down that game specifically. But yeah, the Red Sox and Jays, somebody's going to lose, and the Red Sox and Astros are now battling out for a playoff spot. Cleveland suddenly seems favored, but if Cleveland gets swept by Detroit, then Cleveland is in trouble. The Astros face the A's and the Angels. The Red Sox face Toronto and Detroit. Like, I don't know how that happened, but it did. So, I mean, you're going to guarantee me the Red Sox don't sweep the Jays? Desperation, fighting for, tooth and nail for a postseason spot? I can't guarantee that. And if the Red Sox sweep the Jays and the Yankees sweep the White Sox, the Yankees are leading the East at the end of those series. So is it likely? Even when the Yankees were 2 back in the division, and again with the tiebreaker, so it's 3, coming out of the Toronto series a couple weeks ago, I was like, I still think it's a minimal chance they win the East, because Toronto would have to stumble and falter and kick themselves, and the Yankees would have had to finish the gauntlet strong and go beat Detroit and Boston. And I didn't think they would do that, and then they went 3-3, and now Detroit stinks, and it's crazy that's the only series the Yankees lost in that stretch. That's how much baseball can change in 2 weeks. I still don't think it's happening, but thanks to what the Yankees did yesterday, and thanks to the upcoming schedule of the other teams, it is possible.
It is indeed possible. And look, I mean, I know they used a lot of relievers yesterday because the game went into extras, but for the most part, everyone's kind of well rested. Again, we had 2 7-inning outings and 2 5 1/3 outings this weekend, and a day off today. So I think it puts the Yankees in a good spot. And again, there's not a lot of heavy lifting to be done. You're not overlooking these last 2 opponents, but the fact that they were, first of all, the Camden Yards was essentially Yankee Stadium. That, like, Orioles fans, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, I have to hear shit from these people ever in my life, ever again. Like, I understand you're out of it, and there's not a lot to follow, and you probably moved on to football season. The Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL, so it's easy to shift attention.
Monday night, little tailgate, crab, spices, tailgate. Like, I know.
Just give me a break. Every game this series, there was Yankees fans cheering in the stands. You heard it on every broadcast. It's just
and who's not out of it is the Yankees. Like, if the Yankees are in last place, but the Orioles are coming to New York, or the Red Sox are coming to New York fighting for their playoff lives, I am coming to those baseball games and cheering for my teams who ruin your life.
Yeah.
And I did not see that. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's like, you want to talk about having yourself a weekend. Perfect time to have some beers and go just cause some trouble at the stadium, man. Like at the ballpark. That's what living is all about. But I guess Baltimore's not up for it. So thanks for making that, I guess, as comfy as an experience as possible for us. You look at the rest of the situation here. Stanton's kind of back, hitting the cover off the ball. Cody Bellinger's Cody Bellinger. Trent Grisham's Trent Grisham. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. Jazz is setting franchise marks, third 30-30 player in history, I think, which is crazy. I mean, I want the stats on all these other franchises and how many 30-30 players there are. Like, I feel like over the last 30 years, everybody should probably have 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the Yankees have 3 in their entire franchise's history.
Yep.
And it's the oldest fucking franchise, one of the oldest franchises in the sport. Like, what have they neglected having all-around athletes on their team forever?
And I bet you would not be able to name the other two because
I know one is Soriano.
Yeah, so I knew one
boy.
was Soriano. I knew one was Soriano. I suspected I knew the other one, but I was surprised because if you say I think the issue is saying it's just 3. I think you immediately go to, okay, Soriano and Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, I would have said Ricky Henderson.
And then someone will go, no, that's not, because it's not. It is Soriano who did it with the Yankees.
What decade? Can you give me him with the decade?
Yes. Soriano did with the Yankees in 03 and 02, and then did it after he left for the Rangers and Nats. It's not Ricky Henderson. If you tell me it's not Ricky Henderson, I go, okay, it's Dave Winfield. And it's not Dave Winfield. Okay, Bernie Williams did it. Bernie Williams never did it. It's the 70s. Happened in 75 for the Yankees. This player was the 4th player ever to do 30-30. He did it before he got to the Yankees, and he did it again after he left the Yankees. This guy has so many 30-30 seasons, should be in the Hall of Fame if his career had not taken a surprising downturn, and he shouldn't be the only one in his family in the Hall of Fame, but neither of them are.
This is a baseball family.
There's a baseball father and son, and I would say you like the son very much.
Bobby Bonds?
Sure thing.
Wow. Yeah, I love Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. For some reason, I was gonna guess Willie Randolph, but he definitely did not hit that many home runs.
I wish he had. Bobby Bonds, never gonna make the Hall. I don't think the groundswell is gonna be there, and also depressingly, he died, so it's just like it's not gonna, maybe in 70 years, but it's that thing where somebody brings his name up in the room, they'll just be like, he died though, and then you invite Barry Bonds to the Hall of Fame. Good luck with all that.
Good luck.
But 32 and 45 in 1969, his second year, he did it. And then he did it again with the 73 Giants. He did it again with the 75 Yankees, 32 homers, 30 steals, 77 with the Angels, 78 between Chicago and Texas, but mostly Texas. He's got a bunch on his resume.
All right.
Good baseball player.
So I need to see. Okay. So I MLB.com. Thank you guys for doing this. They did a compilation of every 30-30 hitter in each club's history. So the Mets and Giants lead the way with 7. The Braves have 6. Okay, so this isn't as bad. I'm being harsh.
No, it's hard. There's 49 total.
Yeah, so the Mets have 7. One of them was just Soto, which is the fucking craziest thing ever because he stole 35 bases this year. Yes. Apparently he's been working really hard with the first base coach to get tells on the pitcher and to take off. So it would have been nice if you did that last year, buddy. And then last year
I was working not hard, said one.
Yeah. Last year I didn't think to do something innovative. This year magically decided upon it.
The Aroldis Chapman method. It took me until I was 48 years old to think about locating my fastball. Okay.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
So the Mets have Soto this year and 3 from Howard Johnson, 87, 89, 91. Mm-hmm. The Giants have 7, and all of them are Barry Bonds and Willie Mays. I'm sorry. Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonds, and Willie Mays. The Braves have 6, 2 of which were Acuna from the recent past. Guardians have 5, 3 of which were Jose Ramirez. 2 came in the last 2 seasons. Dodgers have 4. 1 was Shohei Ohtani last year. Brewers have 4, mostly in the modern era. Ryan Braun did it twice. Christian Yelich did it 6 years ago. The Rangers have 4, disgusting. Ian Kinsler twice. Alfonso Soriano. Bobby Bonds is all over this. Yeah. Yankees, Soriano twice, Jazz, Bobby Bonds, and then there's a big drop-off. It's everybody else has 3 or 2 or 1. Mm-hmm. So I apologize for being harsh, but I don't know. I feel like there's just been, I guess for big market teams like the Yankees, it's like you could just go out and get these guys as opposed to these other smaller market teams who don't have the luxury to pay for power and speed or just all-around athleticism. So I guess maybe that's where my brain was going. But even when you look at the top, like the Mets and Giants leading the way, and it's top heavy with guys who accomplished the feat multiple times. So hand up, I stink, but incredible that Jazz has done this. His numbers since joining I think the full 162 game slate, he's 40-40. Is that correct?
Yeah. And
Since,
oh yeah.
He's 40. It's like 40, 45 and 40 something. Either way, absolutely incredible. And he made comments after this or leading into this weekend about his long-term standing with the franchise. Said he likes being in New York. He loves playing here. He said he relates to the city in a multitude of ways. And I think that kind of puts the ball in the Yankees' court. He strikes me as somebody who would be willing to work out a contract extension and not wait until free agency. Don't know how true that is because it differs from player to player. But if the Yankees are serious, this is a guy I feel who will maintain his athleticism and his abilities for the foreseeable future. Like I don't see a drop off with Jazz in the near future like you do with some of these other guys where it's like, he's gonna start getting bigger, and then you're gonna see fewer stolen bases. You're gonna see less athleticism. Like Jazz is limber. Jazz is very like a prototypical athletic size, where like he can accomplish all the things that he can. And if the Yankees are able to find a middle ground here, like this solidifies your second base position, which I think is really important and gives you somebody who can kind of do it all. He's not hitting for contact at a rate that I guess people would be overwhelmed with joy with, but he's doing enough. So what did the Yankees do here? I mean, people were talking about signing him to an extension dating back to last year, but I think the full year at second base now with this full season under his belt and contributing without Soto and kind of stepping up when other players kind of fell off the map should probably earn him that money.
So for me, I lean 70-30. I would do it. The hesitance is one, I'm less of a fan of extremely long-term contracts. As the years go by, I'm less and less likely to be like blank check 8 years. That's the difference where like, if you can get Jazz to do, you really want to stay here, we get Jazz to do 6 years. He is still so young. He's 27 and, next year will be his age 28 season. He turned 28 in February. Like, if you can get him to do 6 years and just lock up his whole prime, I would do that. No questions asked. But his quote made it clear that he both wants to stay and very much knows that he is a talented player. He knows his own worth, right? He's not somebody who's going to step out of the spotlight and limit his fellow players' earning power. And even he said in the quote, I don't want to leave New York. If you've ever played here, you would never want to leave. So that's the first half of the quote. And so you're like, great, obsessed with New York, embraces the spotlight, doesn't run from it. Let's see it. Second half of the quote, it just depends on if they want me. That's the difference. Do they want a 40-40 player? You tell me. And he is a 40-40 player in the 162. Only 30-30 this year, but since joining the Yankees, he missed a lot of time. He missed like 2 weeks last year too, and he missed some time this year. Since joining the Yankees, he has leveled up. Anyone still questioning Jazz's credentials probably watched the home run derby or just does not like the flair that he plays with and does not like what a modern athlete looks like playing the game of baseball. Because if you're like too many strikeouts, then, okay, that could apply to essentially everyone in Major League Baseball. He's only at 144 this year after striking out 152 times last year. I wouldn't say that's par for the course. I would say that's pretty good these days. When a lot of guys are flirting with 200. For me, I would go to him with a 6-year offer this offseason, and if he would like to play ball, a 6-year offer with representative money, not a low ball, not a whatever Roman Anthony signed for. But if he insists on 8, I would say let's take it to free agency. Let's at least explore. Let's see what amount of money the Yankees have in the budget for a year and a half down the line when that comes to pass. Because last year's postseason too, I do think stands out as particularly ugly. He, especially in the Cleveland series, was almost unplayable. He came around.
Well, that was his second playoff series ever, though, right?
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm also not saying a small playoff sample size is determinative, and he had a slightly better World Series, but we didn't see Jazz in last year's postseason. And we thought, okay, he rose to the occasion when he came to New York, so he's going to be even more of an asset when the time of the playoffs rolls around. And he kind of wasn't. And against Cleveland specifically, coming off the Kansas City series where he was the villain of the series because of Maikel Garcia and because everyone in Kansas City has this weird thing for Yankee second baseman of color. He goes to Cleveland and he's striking out more, and he's just sort of an automatic out to the point where you're thinking of benching both him and Austin Wells in that series. And it's just, it's so weird that they won it in 5.
Can I blame this on the third base thing though?
I mean, I hope so. And
that's where I think this year, if he's playing the way that he's playing and he disappears in the playoffs, we're having a different conversation. Last year, came over at the deadline, took one for the team and played a position he shouldn't have been playing. Never really in that position, but yeah, I mean, you gotta show up in October to earn your contract in New York. We all know how that works.
Yeah, and I would, again, it's hard to ask for more from Jazz. He has done you can even watch him evolve as the year goes on. He has let some umpires get into his head this year, but he's let it affect him less as the year's gone on. He got, ejected and tweeted during the live game against Tampa. That wasn't good. Jose Trevino got him ejected from the Cincinnati game. That wasn't good. That was a little bit of a spiral. But, the final out, the last strike in Houston during the beginning of this gauntlet, he kind of turned into a joke. Like, anyone angry that he tweeted SMD, like, you're not living in 2025. Yeah, and you're being disingenuous. Like, if your friend did that, you'd be like, ha, bro, that's so funny. But because Jazz does it and he's a multi-million-dollar athlete, you're like, you suddenly have this sense of decorum.
Well, this guy's maturity. How dare he?
Yeah. Meanwhile, like, you probably think about the times you were upset in your life by something relatively trivial and then add millions of dollars of implications onto it. And that's what happened when Jazz was angry about that strike call. And then in Minnesota last week, he did let an umpire needle him a little bit. He has to work on ending the conversation, because he's doing the talking with the bat. It's not like he's disappearing, going 0 for 4 with 4 Ks afterwards, but he can't be in the field still talking to the umpire. That's the one thing I don't like to see from him. Now, is that a reason not to extend him? Hell no. Is a short playoff series a reason to or not to extend him? Absolutely not. But I would love to see the enthusiasm and flair and performance that he has brought in massive moments with the Yankees in the regular season into October this year, now that he is comfortable at second base and entrenched there. That's all. I really want to see it for him, in the same way that I know Aaron Judge is not a big moment fraud, but I want to see it from him so that he can shake that label. And I want to see Jazz, the people who only watch Jazz in the home run derby, I'd like for them to see Jazz in the postseason too, living up to his billing on the national stage.
That would be nice. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Jazz is Jazz. So his personality kind of puts him in a position to maybe have opponents or umpires get in his head, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I've talked about it a lot. I think it's almost something the Yankees need because they have a bunch of robots and they don't get emotional, or they have Aaron Boone get emotional for them, and it just never lights the fire that everybody thinks it's going to. Aaron Boone's always talking about how he has to go bat for his guys, and he has to, show up the umpires for his guys. And it's like, no, sometimes it'd be nice if Aaron Judge lost his shit on an umpire randomly in a game that didn't really have major implications, or the Yankees were losing by a lot or were winning by a lot. Then at that point, it's like, all right, nice, dude. Or Stanton, like, that would be fun too. That'd be really scary for the umpire, and I'd like to see somebody get scared because Giancarlo Stanton's an enormous person. The Yankees just don't have those. They don't have those, and I get why they don't. It's not their identity. It's not how they roll. But the teams of yesteryear had these agitators on the bench. They had these agitators at the bottom of the lineup where there would be the shit talking, there would be the attitude, there would be the boisterous personality. So I don't really ding Jazz for that. I think that you ding him for it if he screws his team over in a big moment or lets the umpire get in his head during an all-important playoff series, then yeah, I'm happy to have that conversation. But if he gets pissed off at an umpire during a twin series and then goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, whatever. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think there are bigger fish to fry. And to be honest, with all that we've heard about him, right? All the nonsense, the fake locker room chemistry crap,
Yes.
the Miguel Rojas teammate drama where Miguel Rojas was apparently an asshole, which I fully believe after watching him in LA now.
Poured cereal in his shoes.
Yeah.
Like the villain in that story is pretty
Mhm.
clear. If you
Exactly. So for how far Jazz has come in terms of going from this, I don't even know what the label is because again, I don't understand any of it. It was locker room issue. Couldn't be less of an issue. Like there are non-Yankees fans who still can't stand him, which again, I get because you're not watching him on a nightly basis. You're not watching the interviews. You're watching the clip of him losing his mind on Jose Trevino in that Red series. You're watching him lose his mind against the Astros umpire that ringed him up to end the game. And if we were watching, I don't know, like Manny Machado do that when he was with Baltimore, I'd be like, yeah, fuck this guy, dude. This guy fucking can't stand this man.
Yeah.
But I think we've been exposed to him on a much more personal level because we're seeing him every night. We're watching the post-game interviews. We're hearing the quotes in their totality and not just the random snippets that everybody takes to fulfill their agenda and then they move on. So I think based on whatever the ghosts were previously of this nonsense, he's come a long way. And to me, he's shaken that label, at least in my eyes, or at least in Yankees fans' eyes. So if he's able to, I guess, is mature the right word? I don't know. Because again, I don't, it's his personality. So whatever he's doing to be as successful as he is, which he's been this last year and a half, then then great. Like keep doing it because it's not toxic and it's clearly not affecting the team's performance at all. I hope the Yankees aren't concerned with that. At this rate, they don't really need to be because they have commensurate professionals in the room with everywhere else. Judge, Fried, Cole, Stanton, Rodón, list goes on. So Bellinger, if they re-sign him. So if you want a little bit of a firecracker who could be a liability here and there, he'll be kept in check if that's how you're looking at it. And he's going to provide 30-30 abilities for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, and we respect and love the boisterousness from Jazz. Other fans in other cities watching him complain to the umpire and stuff, they're not supposed to like him.
No.
Like they're not going to, and they're not supposed to. Red Sox fans love Dustin Pedroia. I despise him and will for the rest of my life. But if he's on your team, you don't care that he's petulant and whiny and combative with the umpires because you're angry at the umpires too. If you're a rival, you're watching that going, get your head in the game. Come on, get this guy out. Get this joker out of here. Leave. You're out. Like, he got called out to end a playoff game once on a check swing that was pretty borderline and went off on the umpire. And I'm sitting there watching it going, oh, you whiny piece. Get back to the dugout. If that were the Yankees, yeah, we would have written dissertations on it. But that's how fandom works, right? So the other fans of other teams and other players are not supposed to like Jazz Chisholm. He's one of those guys that gets the edge and produces. And so we are on board. We are in favor. And I think the Yankees will be too. But I do think he knows his market value. I don't think he's going to agree to be undersold. I think if the Yankees come with 6, he's going to push for 8. And then maybe they meet in the middle at 7 in free agency. But I think the Yankees would be wise to take him through age 34, age 35, and finally commit to somebody, a genuine athlete, someone whose skills are likely to age well. You've already gotten the best version of him after making one of Brian Cashman's best trades. Now, find out the best way to double down on it without hamstringing yourself. And I think 6-7 years, there really should not be much of a problem there, especially after what you did with DJ LeMahieu. The way things are set up, I want to just expand upon the Aaron Judge isn't alone. It's not a one-man show thing anymore. Yesterday's win, look, maybe a stretch to say top 5 win of the year, especially given the gauntlet they just played. Maybe we should, expand it to 10, see where you're at. But just objectively, it feels like every year, if you're doing a top 10 countdown of the Yankees' best wins of the year, it's going to be mostly Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Jays, Yankees, Houston, and the big rivalries and the memorable games. And then one is going to sneak in where you're like, oh, I almost completely forgot about that. That one made me so comfortable. And that's what yesterday was for me. You're a little bit on edge if they do not win that game. And you don't know the Red Sox are going to lose later in the evening. You did know before the end of the game that the Twins had beaten the Guardians, and that helps a little bit. But things get a little bit uncomfortable and tight if the Yankees do not come away with that game. It's the Orioles. It's a division rival. They don't like you. They're trying hard. They have young players. They are now in that mode of there are no just shitty teams anymore. We've talked about this, but there is a difference between a last place team that is playing out the string with a bunch of 34-year-olds who had a bad year, who are on year 2 of a 5-year deal and have nothing left to play for, versus Dylan Beavers, Jackson Holiday, Samuel Basayo. All these guys are like, if we beat the Yankees to end this season, we go into next year in the same way the Orioles beat up the Red Sox in 2011 and Robert Andino'd them out of the postseason and then rode that to winning the division in 2012. The Orioles know they have the talent to do that, right? So it's not surprising that this was a tight series that could have been split down the middle. What is more surprising is that the Yankees won easily behind Max Fried, won easily behind Carlos Rodon. So they put themselves in a position to have a shot on Sunday, but so it's 1-1. Ben Rice comes through with the clutch tying hit in the middle innings. And then after that, not much of anything. Luke Weaver works out of a Fernando Cruz jam. The bullpen still can't be walking people to the degree that they are. Birthday boy Devin Williams, 1, 2, 3, all Ks, but the Yankees are giving them, so the bullpen is giving the offense chances. The offense isn't taking them. David Bednar coming into the bottom of the 9th, and you're saying, okay, so either they get walked off and Bednar struggles, or it's a road extra innings and there's no one left in the bullpen. Okay, cool. Bednar is very good. The winning runs at second, he gets out of it. Camilo Doval is coming into the bottom of the 10th. So either they don't score in the top of the 10th because they never seem to in these road extra inning games, or they do, but it's 1 or maybe 2, and then Camilo Doval's got to be excellent in the bottom half. Judge walks, not intentionally, just walks, and then in comes Keegan Aiken to face the 2 lefties in a row. But it's first and second, nobody outs for Bellinger and Ben Rice, and you're just like, I'm comfortable. It's an amazing feeling. Like Cody Bellinger, we know hits 350 plus against lefty pitching, so no wonder you're comfortable there. But what does he do? Easiest thing he can do: line drive to left field, move station to station. Everybody moves on up. 1-2 to Ben Rice. A little skittish. You never know. Maybe he gets under one. Maybe he pops it out. But what is it? Just a fastball right down the middle. And what does Ben Rice do with that?
Clobber.
He does what he does with that. That's what he does in Baltimore with that pitch. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it's 5-1, right? 4-run lead. Feeling pretty good. But Camilo Doval, there's a runner on second. You'd love more. And Jazz says, here is more. They changed pitchers. Jose Caballero, Anthony Volpe. The Yankees were not satisfied. The Yankees did not leave Aaron Judge on an island. The Yankees were not satisfied with even a 4-run cushion in extras. And it's just the comfort of that win, the comfort that imbues the rest of the weekend, and what we now view the postseason chase with a different lens because of the way they played that game. Mm-hmm. It's for me, it's a top 10 win of the year. I'm not going to go crazy and say 5, but I think it's not the wild card sealer. It doesn't finish off their seeding. They have work to do, but the work they had to do is much more substantial if they don't win that game. And they hold it till the 10th, take a lead, run and hide, and then Camilo Doval loses the plate with 2 outs. And it kind of sort of does not matter. And a huge recovery, 3-1 to Ryan Mountcastle, 1 pitch away from walking in a run, cutter 99, cutter 98. Goodbye. And that's what he should have been doing to the previous 2 batters, but he figured it out. Even Camilo Doval comes out smelling like roses in this one. And I'll go like, top 10 win of the year for me.
I could take, look, it was exhilarating. The fact that, I think they had 6 hits through 9 innings and 4 walks or something like that. And then they opened up a can of whoop ass in the top of the 10th. So yeah, you'd like a better performance throughout the game. I know, Kyle Bradish has been pretty good since coming back. What do you have, Tommy John, or he had some sort of elbow procedure?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's looked good. He's got a 2.25 ERA since coming back. I think he's been back for about a month now or something like that. So this wasn't a freebie by any means. You would obviously not want, you'd rather him not strike out 9 batters over 6 innings and only give up a run, but it is what it is. Baseball season's long. Here we're walking the fine line, right? We're dumping praise on the Yankees in a series they probably should have won. Whereas we would be losing our minds if they lost that game in extras yesterday. So I don't really know where I stand. Look, the win is the win. So I'm not taking anything away from it. I think that the fact that they clutched up when they needed to, amazing. Again, like to see it against a little bit of a better opponent, but you could not ask for a better team effort in this scenario. I think that, I would like to see, again, the adversity ratcheted up a little bit. I don't think on the road at Baltimore, where it's mostly Yankees fans in the stands, is doing that. But I think the positives from this series are the fact that they hung on strong for as long as they did. For literally, they were in, they were one Giancarlo Stanton swing away from winning that game that they lost to Trevor Rogers. He had runners on second and third with 2 outs in the 8th. And we've seen him come up like a single ties that game or gives them a 1-run lead, and a home run pretty much demoralizes the Orioles. So
when he and Jazz, Will Warren and Jazz both made errors to extend that from 1 to 3. Like that game was winnable, and it wasn't like a heart-wrenching loss, but winnable.
Yeah, it was just one of those where you're like, damn. Yeah. Like you want to win the game that's within, again, if the Orioles score 5 runs in the first off Will Warren and you're like, all right, whatever, but in reach, and then a couple of stupid mistakes put you in a position where the offense needs to battle back. Not the greatest spot to be in, but again, they took 3 of 4. Where are my eyes right now? My eyes are, first of all, is there anything to take here with Ryan McMahon only getting 6 at-bats in the series? They're just trying to mix things up for fun, right?
His struggles have fallen under the radar a little bit. It does, just because the defense has been
no one gives a fuck, because the defense is incredible. And honestly, I don't really care either. I just he's swinging over so many balls low in the zone. It's like, come on.
That's the one thing I don't have patience for right now from Yankee fans who've been tweeting at me a little bit, being like, oh, McMahon, one of the worst hitters I've ever seen. And it's like, I guess so far, yeah. But I don't foresee that being the case next year. The defense has been so good. And Ahmed Rosario is going to maybe get a playoff start against a lefty, and I would not say no to that. And I see no reason not to. You've got McMahon. You've got McMahon ready for defense, and Rosario – basically been automatic since becoming a Yankee. He's like a dream bench player. So it's like, it's going to be one of those where if he gets a playoff start against the lefty, somebody national is going to be snarky. Like, what is Aaron Boone up to? And the reality is he's been automatic so far, and it is the move.
Yeah, it absolutely is the move. So look, okay, that makes sense. If they're gearing up to get Rosario in versus a lefty when the playoffs come, I am not opposed to that at all. The other thing I'm looking at is Anthony Volpe, who deserves a golf clap, or maybe the Yankees deserve the golf clap. Again, I don't know, because this has been a complicated relationship for 3 years, but
he deserves to clap as forcefully as he can with his sholdering. To whatever degree, whether it's golf, whether it's a full clap, however far you can move that shoulder.
Yeah, don't go too hard, buddy. But 4 for 12 in this series, 2 runs scored, an RBI, 2 stolen bases, 4 strikeouts, not great, but we've seen worse, haven't we? That was with 3 starts and one pinch run situation yesterday, and he ended up staying in the game. His first essentially stretch of regular playing time since 2 weeks ago. Look, if this is the formula, then great. Like we've seen, look, I don't know if I'm not sick of Jose Caballero, but I've gotten the doses of Jose Caballero that I need. Like, again, everybody wanted him to be the full-time shortstop because of the hatred of Volpe, but we've seen that Caballero probably is not capable of that. And
he was wearing Rays gear yesterday too, which I was.
He was
wearing the Rays City Connect. He had purple sleeves and he had like that yellow batting gloves and wrist accents, and I was like, I mean, they're cool. They're very cool, but they're also from your Rays uniform.
Yeah, come on, dude. But look, a lot of base running. Like, he's aggressive, and I love that, but it's got to get toned down a little bit. We've seen some base running mistakes. We talked about some defensive gaffes last episode. I'm not down on him at all, but if there is a situation where, one, you can platoon these guys and Volpe can be a force at the bottom of the lineup, awesome. Caballero can be a force off the bench whenever the Yankees need a pinch hit or defensive substitution or pinch runner, great. Like, I think it's all kind of coming together. And then again, you have Dominguez as the weapon in that scenario as well for pinch running and pinch hitting. So I'm not going to ignore Anthony Volpe coming around a little bit when he gets some rest or when the Yankees address a problem or when they play the matchups correctly. And it seems to me that they did some of that this weekend. And again, don't forget the game against the Twins too. In the 10-9 victory, he had a 2-for-4 day with an RBI and a walk. He got on base 3 times out of his 5 plate appearances. So look, I don't know. Those are the things that I'm looking at though. And decisions will be made for the playoffs that fans might deem unpopular, but if he's facing a lefty and that's the route Aaron Boone wants to go in and he manages to get on base and disrupt on the base paths and look, the defense has been good too. I think he made some really good defensive plays this series that we should not be overlooking. It's not negating all the bad that he's done and all the troubles he's had with routine plays, but if he's a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more instinctual at this point in the year, this is when you want it to happen. So, slow golf clap on Volpe, and we'll see what happens. But that can't go unnoticed, in my opinion, if you're a Yankees fan.
I think there are a lot of good options for the playoffs at this point in time, and Aaron Boone is going to have to juggle them, but I don't think there's like people are going to be upset when Volpe plays. I know, but I don't think there's like a death must be avoided option at all costs. Volpe's the closest you're going to get. And I still think that you're going to have a healthy dose of him and Caballero. There's the only anger comes in if they just straight up ignore Caballero and staple.
Correct. And that's not happening. If that happens, I mean, there will be riots if that happens. The Yankees know at this point that can't happen. I think, look, they are stubborn. They do drive us insane. But that point is past. There is the Volpe conversation is what it is. Now they need to do some damage control and salvage the relationship and salvage the young man's career. And this is the way to do it. They can make nice on everything. And he still needs to be hitting at the bottom of the lineup. He still needs to be putting the lineup in doses. But if it fuels a postseason run, then fans will have a different opinion in due time.
I will be very surprised if they're stubborn enough to go away from Caballero, given what he has shown. And why do we get to talk about the playoffs at this point? They're not clinched. They aren't. But, okay, so let's reflect on the chaos of the weekend and what is still to come this week. How should you be watching this as a Yankee fan? There's a lot of numbers floating around.
A lot of numbers.
Some teams smelling better than others right now. Who are we playing if we do make the postseason? No idea. Probably the most likely team is the Red Sox, given that they have tiebreakers with the Guardians, with the Astros. Depending on how things shake out, if the Red Sox can win enough games to put themselves into the postseason field, odds are it'll be in the 5 spot. Odds are the Yankees will end up in the 4 spot. We don't know. The Yankees have a 3-game lead on Boston. Right now, the Yankees are in the 4. The Red Sox are in the 5. Behind them is a whole lot of weird shit. And the Yankees' magic number after, Yes Network said it's 3 to clinch a playoff spot after yesterday's win. That's true. But the Yankees could win 1 game and ensure themselves that magic number will eventually be met, which is so weird and is not how magic number is usually laid out. It's a combination of wins and losses. So technically it should be 1 win, but 1 loss won't do it. So the magic number is not 1. Rest assured, I hate this. This sucks. But the Yankees got lucky. The schedule gods MLB got lucky. What am I talking about? The Yankees got lucky with the Guardians and Tigers facing one another for 3,
Truly.
And the Red Sox and Tigers facing one another for 3, and the Red Sox and Blue Jays facing one another for 3. So if the Red Sox were to go undefeated for the rest of the year, that would mean the Tigers would lose 3, even if the Tigers swept the Guardians. And in that case, the Guardians would be the ones because the Tigers would probably win the Central, and so the Guardians would be the ones fighting for that last wild card spot. But if the Red Sox swept the Tigers, then maybe not. The Guardians could win 3 in their final series, and they could take it. And then the Yankees would only need to win 1, because right now the Yankees are 3 up on the Tigers too. So the Yankees win 1, they'll officially finish above the Tigers.
Yeah,
which I believe is why all of this shit is hitting fans.
Yeah, the fans have been just covered in shit.
Shooting
around the room.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen with one Yankees win. No one is saying they have clinched. Yeah. And also you're looking for seeding. So they're not going to clinch anything that fans really want until hopefully they lock in either the top wildcard berth that gets some playoff home games or the AL East. So plenty in the balance. But 3 games against the White Sox, you want to win them all for seeding. Yeah,
really. You really got to. Here's the breakdown. Blue Jays at the top of the AL, 90 and 66. Mariners second. Good for the fucking Mariners, man.
Yeah.
Really happy for them right now.
And Mariners, the Blue Jays have clinched a playoff spot, but not the East.
The Blue Jays are the only team in the playoffs in the AL at this very moment. Seattle Mariners second place as the division leaders of the AL West, 87 and 69. Detroit Tigers first place in the AL Central. Don't know for how long, as the third seed, 85 and 71. Then you have the Yankees, 88 and 68. They have a 4-game advantage in the wild card totality over the last team that is in the picture. Red Sox, 85 and 71. They have a 3-game deficit to the Yankees, but a 1-game advantage over the final 2 teams, Guardians and Astros, tied at 84 and 72. The Astros could still theoretically win the AL West. The Mariners have to face the Dodgers to end the year. I know they have the Rockies first, but they have the final series of the year is against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are in a situation where A, the Padres are on their tail a little bit, so they have to create some space, and B, in the event the Phillies decide to slip, the Dodgers could slip into that number 2 seed if they play their cards right. That is extremely unlikely, but nothing is ruled out until it is ruled out, hence the magic numbers.
If the Astros were still the Astros, they would win all 6 of these games.
Correct.
At Sacramento, at Angels.
I really don't think they are. I think they are pretty bad.
Again, my guys, the AF, the all caps ATH, are not messing around.
No, they're really not. They're playing. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and they have a tough lineup, man. So if they get some pitching in the offseason, you never know. But that's not a team that's and just like the Rays and the A's are the same team to me. I know they have a lot of similar qualities, but in terms of the small market and the money ball, but it's just they never go away. They're always there. They're never lying down. Yes, there are times where they finish below 500, but they're a team that's kind of a pain in the ass every time you face them, and that's their identity. So not going to overlook the A's facing anybody at the end of this season. And the Astros, again, they just got swept by the Mariners over this weekend at home in a series where they needed to not get swept in order to keep the division within reach. Now they're 3 games back, and they finished the year against 2 division opponents. Yes, underwhelming, but they are not good. Jose Altuve not performing well. The pitching staff kind of falling apart. Yordan Alvarez is out with an ankle injury, so on and so forth. So I am not necessarily scared of the Astros. I'm not begging for a postseason series against them, but they're not looking good right now. So the Yankees at this rate could face any of the Tigers, the Mariners, the Red Sox, the Guardians, or the Astros. It all depends on how this last week shakes out. I think at this rate, we're looking at most likely Red Sox / Tigers / Guardians. In my opinion, that's what it's looking like. And I really just don't want to face the Red Sox.
I really don't want to go to Fenway, and
We're not going to Fenway. I mean, I'm as confident. I'm not going to say that that's a definite not happening, but I am confident that will not happen. I'm going
to my
confident voice.
Yesterday's Red Sox loss was the first time when I really let myself believe, like, all right, that's actually looking like a more remote possibility. It's not impossible, but the Yankees need to, again, I'll just take care of business.
The Red Sox have the Blue Jays and the Tigers, man. Like, if we go to Fenway, it's because we fucked up beyond belief, and then we deserve to go to Fenway.
Absolutely. It would be the Red Sox going 6-0 and us going 2-4.
3-6.
Yeah, 3 and
no, wait. I'm
3
sorry.
and 3.
6-0, 3-3. Yeah.
Yeah. If the Red Sox go 6-0, that means the Tigers are in trouble, and it means the Yankees would have to go 3-3 in their last 6. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but that is reality. And I do know that I'll just say that things have broken. Red Sox fans not pumped right now, but like their loss yesterday, quite bad. And I've seen some worse loss of the season getting floated around, given what was at stake and given how many people they left on base, especially Nathaniel Lowe, who they were all rubbing in our faces a couple of weeks ago. And he was awful yesterday. And that's a game you can't lose. And they did. So there's that, right? But things broke poorly for the Red Sox. They're not excited. Things broke poorly for the Houston Astros. They're not excited. I don't think things went worse for anyone than they did for the Detroit Tigers, who
truly
had a win locked up on Saturday and couldn't get the final strike against the Atlanta Braves. Had the Guardians lose yesterday, finally, 10-game winning streak off, and the Tigers still could not win, could not beat the Braves. Losing to the Guardians, the hungry Guardians, is one thing. Losing 3 straight home games to the Atlanta Braves playing for nothing is another.
Braves are on fire, though.
Playing for nothing.
I know, but they're fucking on fire.
Fan Appreciation Day yesterday, the Tigers just basically put they put 2 guys on base every inning and couldn't score.
Fan Appreciation, we hate you guys.
I mean, they put out a video before yesterday's game that was like giving back to the fans and the great energy that Detroit has given us all year. And I was like, if I were waking up before that game, I would be so mad at this tweet. It's just the worst timing. It's not the social person's fault.
Yeah.
But that just sucks. Like Detroit has given them good energy all year, and they gave them right back like 2 of the worst weeks in recent baseball history. So if I'm betting, I don't think Cleveland's losing that series to Detroit.
I don't think so either.
I don't think Cleveland's sweeping Detroit.
At Cleveland, right?
Last time. In Cleveland, I think Cleveland's taking 2 of those 3. I think they're tied for the division lead when that's over. And I think Detroit's going to Boston in desperation mode, which is what we want from them, because we want them to try to earn a wild card spot if they're not going to win the division. And there are 2 spots available for Boston, Houston, Detroit, and Cleveland.
Yeah.
2 wild card spots, 3 spots in general, because one of Cleveland or Detroit has to win the Central. But it's mind-boggling. And Cleveland is now facing a pretty much eliminated Texas Rangers team to end the year. And Detroit's going to, again, we don't want to go to Fenway. Detroit doesn't want to go to Fenway. It obviously means more for us, but who wants to go to Fenway Park right now? The Blue Jays Red Sox series that comes before it is going to determine so much of how this shakes out. Again, if you're a Yankee fan, I can't do the rooting for the Red Sox thing. I won't do it.
No, it'll never happen.
If you're rooting for them to win, to give you a better shot at the East, you're also giving them a better shot at facing you.
Oh. It could be Red Sox versus Russia, and I'd root for Russia.
But you're going to look real stupid real quick if you like desperately root for the Red Sox to open the door to you in the AL East, but then things don't go perfectly, and then you're playing the Red Sox in the wild card, and you're like, wait, what happened?
No, you sit here, you kick back, and you say, beat the shit out of each other, and I'll check in with you on Thursday.
You probably don't want to sweep from either of them.
Yeah, I would say, confidently, yeah. But again, we can't think about it. We can't even think about it.
But technically, a Red Sox sweep over the Jays would give the Yankees the best chance to take care of their own business. But again,
assuming they win 3 against the White Sox,
that would involve the Yankees taking care of their own business. So you can only expect them to take care of a moderate amount of business. You can't put too much on their mantle. It's crazy.
They don't have too much business, but yeah, I mean, this Jays Red Sox series, Giolito versus Gossman, Crochet versus Scherzer, Bayo versus Bieber. The Red Sox are going for it now because then that would mean Crochet and Bayo are not pitching in the final series of the season. Can't blame them because this is probably you need to give it all now. You need to give it your all now because you can't fall further behind and then say, oh, now we have to throw these guys high leverage and make sure we get the job done. And then plus division games mean more, so it'd be more of a feather in your cap, if you will, if you can take a road series in Toronto in any capacity. And look, man, those are not easy matchups for the Blue Jays. So you are side-eyeing it a little bit, and you're wondering what might happen. And then at that point, Giolito will get the final start against Detroit. Connolly early in the middle game. There is nobody announced for the series opener right now, but we do know the Tigers lined up Tarek Skubal to pitch in the final 2 series of the year.
Tarek Skubal will pitch the opener against Cleveland.
And then the finale of the Red Sox series.
Man, baseball rules.
So he's fucking out if they make the wild card series.
Yes.
How fucking crazy is that?
And I look, and I will do more on this hopefully when it becomes official. So not too much yet, but I just want to give New York Mets fans an all-time shout out at moving the goalpost so significantly. And I don't know how this ends. There are 6 games left, but right now the New York Mets are not in the playoffs. Joel Sherman was debating what's a worse collapse, 2007 or 2025. This one's worse. This is a $340 million payroll. This is a team that spent $1 billion on free agents this offseason. Sorry, $1.09 billion on free agency this offseason, and brought in Juan Soto. And into that, like Joel Sherman said, 2007 they collapsed because the Philadelphia Phillies, who were a great team, set up for greatness in 08, 09, won the division like every year throughout that era until 2012, came and took it from them. The Phillies went head to head with the Mets and beat them over and over, beat them 3 times to start that collapse with 17 to play. This time, the Reds and Diamondbacks and Giants, like the Mets are battling it out. The $346 million Mets payroll is battling it out with a bunch of teams that are 4 games over 500 or worse than that, because the Mets have been the worst team in the National League for 2.5, 3 months now. And because I cannot imagine what is going through Mets fans' heads. But I know what's going through my head because Mets fans spent November, December, January, February, March, April, May yelling about how they won New York back and they stole New York and it's their city now and Yankee fans are little brother and they have Juan Soto. And then now the Mets are losing. Every Mets fan is like, oh, so now that we're losing, you're talking to us. Okay, very fun, very convenient, very nice. It's like, no. You made yourselves the loudest people on earth for the first half of the year. So now you have to take some of your medicine. So I'm sorry that you have to take some of your medicine. It can't be fun, but you do. And there's a tweet going around today, a Mets fan tweeting, once you guys accept that the primary goal of this year was to develop young talent and get them some big league experience, you will be a lot happier. 3 young starters making waves, handful of position players on the way up, number 1 farm system in baseball. Our future is so bright. I've never seen the goalposts moved more. What is this? Like an SEC upset? The goalposts have been ripped out of the field and thrown in the fucking reservoir because the Mets have seen some good development this year. The Mets have brought up some young starters who've made some headway, but the primary goal of this season was not development of the youth, Mets fans. It was not. You signed Juan Soto. You paid $1 billion to sign free agents. The primary goal was winning the World Series. Steve Cohen said if he's going to be upset if he doesn't win a World Series in the first 5 years of his ownership, this is year 5. The primary goal was to win the World Series. It was not to develop Nolan McLean in August. You people are out of your minds. Out of your minds. And the Reds hold your playoff spot right now. So we'll see how this ends. But you lost a home series to the Nationals. The Reds get the Pirates. Nothing is over.
Oh, my God.
Nothing is over. But the Reds control their destiny. You don't. And it is not a development year, no matter how many times you want to say that now. No matter how loudly you want to backtrack for the final week of September and into the offseason. I remember how you treated the last offseason. Everybody does. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, fucking suck it, dude. I don't know. Everybody just has to suck on it at the end of the year.
I'm reserving the suck it for when the bracket is finished. But for now, I just want you to remember what you were like in the offseason and think about that for a while.
I mean, either way, look, the Mets could go on a run for sure, but the fact that they're in this position at the end of the year, you could deem it a failure if you're Frank the Tank, maybe.
Anything other than a World Series win is a failure.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, yeah, if the Mets are going to hold themselves to New York standards, then sure. They're 31-44 on the road, which is heinous. Nobody else has. You have to go all the way down. No, you have to go all the way down to the Pirates, who have a worse record on the road in the NL. So the Mets have the third worst record on the road in the NL. The only teams that are worse are the Rockies and the Pirates. And then they are 37-40 against 500 teams. The only teams that are worse than them are the Padres. I guess you could say the Marlins, but the Marlins have more wins. They just have more losses because they had more 500 opponents. Braves, same thing, more 500, more greater than 500 opponents. So yeah, they're bottom tier versus better opponents, and they are among the worst in road series. So I don't know how that favors them. If you're in the last wild card spot, you are getting 0 home field advantage throughout the entire postseason series. So you could view it as a failure, and I think a lot of Mets fans might already be. You look at this Reds team; they don't have, and look, Ellie De La Cruz, great player, not a good year for him. So if you want to look at his year and compare it to the best Mets seasons this year, like the Reds don't have a player that comes close to Juan Soto, that comes close to even like Pete Alonso, that comes close to Francisco Lindor. So that collection of talent that the Reds have, I'm not downgrading them by any means, but the Mets have all the money in the world to get the top talent that they do, and that's the talent that they paid for, and that's the talent that's supposed to be driving them forward. Meanwhile, the Reds have kind of a mishmash of dudes, and their pitching's really good, and they've been able to stay afloat for this long with Terry Francona running the ship. This would be a massive failure of a season.
Yeah, if they do not win the World Series, I'm calling it a failure. But also, you're right; they're not going to make the NLCS. I'll be stunned. I will be. I'm rarely legitimately stunned if the Mets sneak into the playoffs and
the Mets get the Dodgers in the first round. If the Mets make the playoffs, they're not getting any higher than the 6th seed because the Padres have a 5-game advantage over them. So that would require a Padres meltdown. So the Mets are going to LA for a 3-game series, which, I mean, I guess they played them a little bit tough last year, but the Dodgers will be uncorking every last thing that they have in order to advance, because if they lose in the wild card round, there will be riots. And then I think all of the Brewers, Phillies, Cubs, and Padres are still better. So I don't know. I don't even know who they would face after that. I guess they'd be going to Philly, but they've had their way with Philly over the last few years. Yeah. Well, but this year too, they almost, I think they beat Philly at home, so they're
at Citi Field. The Mets are on like a 9-game winning streak against the Phillies, not in Philadelphia. Yeah. So maybe a 5-game series. But that said, I think if the Mets play the Dodgers,
they're the hardest playoff path. Essentially, they would have the hardest playoff path.
Yeah. If the Mets go to LA, that series is going to be so lopsided for the Dodgers that Clayton Kershaw is going to get a fucking pinch hit at bat. That's where we're at. Not only is he going to appear, he's going to bat. So we'll see. I mean, right now, Mets fans are just trying to make the postseason so that they don't have to hang their hat on biggest collapse. They're also watching the Tigers so they can compare collapse.
Yeah.
But yeah, what 15.5 or what the Mets did? What's worse? I mean, I genuinely do not know, but hopefully we get to find out. Hopefully the Mets cement it, do not play in the postseason whatsoever, and we get to watch an 84-win Reds team go to LA and start the Dodgers repeat bid off on the right foot. We'll be here on Thursday afternoon making more sense of it. The New York Yankees are off today. They'll be 2 games into their 3-game set with the White Sox. At that point, they'll have 2 in the books. We'll know much more about where they stand, but not that much more. We won't get to know more until the end of the week. That's how crazy it's been. And on Monday, we will be back with Danny Wexelman on this podcast to preview the postseason. So please join us on Thursday. Please join us next Monday for a big end-of-season playoff preview. Hopefully get to have a little fun, do a little gloating, or at least get to set up the path. If you believe in the Yankees, if you don't, hopefully they did enough this weekend to cement themselves as a team that we're going to hopefully watch play postseason baseball. But where, when, against who, that we have no idea. Win games against the White Sox. Hopefully you get yourself closer to finding out the mystery. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. You can find us here 2 o'clock Eastern again on every Monday and Thursday and on your favorite podcast platforms. Thomas Carranante, where can the people find you?
I am at Tommy's_takes. We are both at the official Yanks Go Yard account. That is at Yanks Go Yard FS. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. Plenty of content there for you. We appreciate you guys reading. There is much more to digest outside of what we're talking about here. Smaller moves, other playoff implications involving other teams. You name it. Head on over there. Don't forget it. And please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mentioned this the last couple weeks. The podcast schedule could see a little bit of a revamp depending on what the Yankees do in the playoffs, depending on their elimination date, depending on whatever happens, big moments, injuries, pitching changes. I'm already looking at it. This will be a topic for the next episode, but I'm already looking at this postseason rotation. We might know who the Game 3 starter is based on how everything's lined up if the wild card series does go that far. So we'll be talking about all that stuff on the website, but make sure, again, to get those alerts from YouTube for when we're going live because the schedule is about to get hectic. Appreciate you guys tuning in and reading as always. We'll see you again here soon.
Take care, everybody. Best case scenario, no Red Sox. Worst case scenario, obviously Red Sox. And we'll see where we land at the end of this week. Take care.